because I think our last speaker is in many ways the most indicative and the most important. Alex Coleman is from a working class background in Western Sydney. She's fine with me saying that, and she's currently a PhD student at the University of Western Sydney. I think you studied there, Alex, and you're now going on to study for a PhD, which will enable you to enter the university system as on the other side of the blackboard as an academic. And I think Alex symbolises in many ways exactly the kind of constituency whose opportunities, whose ability to flourish intellectually, whose ability to contribute to society will be most seriously affected if Abbott's and Pine's disgraceful reforms go ahead. So let's hear from Alex Coleman. Thank you.
Thank you for coming along today. I'll begin with a statement. Access to university should be fair, and each university should be equal in its representation of social class. In its present guise, the higher education system is not equal in social representation, but it is accessible. Fee deregulation will undermine fair access to university, and any hopes for a university system that is equal in its social representation of class will be deflated. To pretend otherwise is simply morally bankrupt. The future looks as dim as it does slim. Now, I am a beneficiary of this accessible system. My Auntie Maria, the daughter of Maltese migrants who settled in Western Sydney, living in what was to become Whitlam's heartland only a few years later, was not so fortunate. She aspired to go to university and hoped to become a diplomat. However, she finished school at 15 after completing the leaving certificate. This was the most that could be achieved at the time for a newly settled migrant family. This was pre-Whitlam. If you were working class, your chances of accessing higher education were dismal. The opportunities I had to become a PhD candidate are very much a manifestation of government policy, not just hard work and family support. Because of government policy, students like myself are no longer a rarity in higher education, especially at my university, UWS, where most students are first in family and from blue-collar backgrounds. This is something the government seems to have forgotten. It's infatuated with market thinking, and access to opportunity is now seen to be the responsibility of the individual. And so, the proposed reforms seem like a counter-reformation, a point of nasty return. And this is precisely why I wear this shirt today. It signals a sense of promise for a fairer and more equitable Australia, something that I find infectious in our current political climate. During the Whitlam years, all things seemed possible for people from blue-collar backgrounds. Now, I can only speculate what I would have done if I had to pay $60,000 for a degree. I would have enrolled, yes, but I'm certain I wouldn't have enrolled in an arts degree. My interests and passions would have probably been forfeited in favour of something more vocational, something with guaranteed employment prospects. Like many people from blue-collar backgrounds, I probably would have enrolled straight into a Bachelor of Education. The deregulation of university fees, nevertheless, may have been an ugly deterrent, particularly as university degrees are no longer safeguards against unemployment. My friends, family and myself are only too aware that our degrees from UWS are worth less in the job market, that the graduate labour market is oversaturated, and that we lack the family influence to open doors into professional careers. My boyfriend Tomo already wishes he completed a trade instead. These factors, combined with a high price tag, will dissuade and discourage. The deregulation of universities will only aggravate an already unequally stratified system. Students from blue-collar backgrounds are underrepresented at the Group of 8 and overrepresented at the newer and less prestigious institutions. Your social class should not determine the university you attend. And this is problematic because a degree from an established university is worth far more than a degree from a newer one. Universities should help to dissolve structural inequality. They should not reflect the increasing polarisation of wealth that has come to characterise our contemporary Australian society. We should be working to disrupt and dismantle these prestige hierarchies, not to encourage them. The prospect of a deregulated university system is profoundly disturbing. Under such conditions, what chance is there for the children of blue-collar workers, for those of Western Sydney? Thank you.
That brings us to the end of the formal proceedings for today. I'd like to ask everybody, please, to, if you haven't already signed on as a signatory or as a supporter of the NAPU Charter, to do so at napuaustralia.org. We've had messages of support from around the country today. Just before I came out here, I had a message from someone at the University of New England, a regional university of the kind that they're trying to do deals over, who is decidedly and categorically against any deals being done, no matter the extent to which they alleviate the strain on regional universities, because my colleague at UNE recognises that this is going to introduce deep structural inequities into Australia higher education if it goes ahead. And I've got a message. We have a message for Senator Lambie, for Senator Madigan, for Vice-Chancellor Spence, for Peter Sherwold at UWS, for Glyn Davis at the University of Melbourne, for the members of the Sydney University Senate who are meeting this afternoon, one of whom, Katrina Menzies-Pike, a dissident Senate fellow, was at this meeting before she had to go. Our message is that we will be back. We will be back here next semester. We'll be back the semester after that. We'll be back the semester after that if necessary, because we will not consent. University staff and students will not consent to being thrown to the mercy of the dogs of the market. There is no way we will stand by and allow that happen. NAPU Australia, along with other student and staff organisations, are determined to put an end to this disgraceful legislation, which is rotten to the core. So please support us in every way you can, and thank you for coming today.